Full sets at $239 and queen sets for $279. Shop local at Carol's Furniture, beside Food Lion in Irwin.
All right, Tri-City Sports Now coming back at you. I'm Marky Billson. I'm sorry about Donnie Abraham. I tried calling, and let's try one last time here and see if he is possibly available. But yeah, it would have been fun to reconnect. He was one of the first people that we had on the show, as a matter of fact. Back when it first started in 1996. Now, there was about a 20-year hiatus. It was the first incarnation. But yeah, we did a show back in, I did one, it was at first a weekly talk show, and then it became daily, in 96 and 97 here. And had some great guests that are called Donnie Abraham, trying to make the Buccaneers as a rookie, was one of them. I remember, we had Peyton Manning on. Now, I had to go to Knoxville and record it and bring him back, but we had Peyton Manning on. My favorite, a kid from Pittsburgh, Chuck Tanner, right? We had him. We had Paul Hamilton when he was named the coach of the Buccaneers back in 97. We were the first radio station to have him on. And really a lot of good stuff on there. Had a guy on Thanksgiving who was putting on a Pee Wee football tournament. We had Phil Garner on. Eric Collier was managing the Milwaukee Brewers at the time, an East Tennessee native, played at Tennessee. He went to Bearden, but he was originally from Granger County. He was originally from Jefferson City, Tennessee, so Carson-Newman territory, that sort of thing. So anyway, that is the case with that. 1 o'clock tomorrow, East Tennessee State is going to be playing the Virginia Military Running Roos, or maybe you call them the Keydets, what have you. It is ETSU, as mentioned at the start of the show, the second longest winning streak in the nation, and they'll go for their program record 16th. It'll tie the mark set in 2004. But yeah, an early start up there in Lexington. Let's see. They've combined. The interesting thing here is that the all-time series, it dates back to 1953, and ETSU has only lost 11 times in 60 meetings. I can actually remember one of them. It was John Schulman's coaching debut in 1994. Bart Belair's was coaching VMI, and when the Keydets won that game, you knew that the era was over for ETSU basketball, and they sunk very fast. The Buccaneers, last time they played VMI, DeSanta Bradford netted his 1,000th point. A lot of people liking Bradford for the player of the year. And both David Burrell and Devontius Payne, kind of guys from, the back of the bench, if you will, they both had 17 points in that ball game. ETSU hasn't lost a contest in the Southern Conference this year. VMI is 7-16. Jalen McLeod did not play in the game. Still, ETSU enjoyed a 41-point victory and outscored them, and this is not a surprise considering how deep ETSU is, 55-17 from the bench. I'm a bit, Citadel historically, although as the season went on, they started doing this less and less. They always tried to do fast tempo. I would not be surprised if VMI tried to slow down their tempo. Look, if they don't have the depth to match a 10-player rotation from ETSU, and they don't, what would you do? Yeah, I'd be trying to milk that shot clock and put up a 3 at the end. That'd be my strategy, certainly. By the way, Steve Forbes, his lifetime record now at ETSU, the only team he's ever been the head coach of, 72-24. He's got 3 years of Division I experience. That ranks 13th in winning percentage among active head coaches with 3 or more seasons. And the ones that are besting him are guys like Mark Few at Gonzaga, Roy Williams over at North Carolina, late of Kansas, John Calipari at Kentucky, Mike Krzyzewski. But he's ahead of Greg Marshall, his old boss, Bruce Pearl, his old boss, Jamie Dixon, who at Pitt beat ETSU about 10 years ago in the tournament, Jim Boeheim. Well, there were a lot of those matchups going up against, the Big East was tough, going up against Georgetown and all that. Tom Izzo, he's played in Johnson City before. Bob Huggins, Archie Miller over at Indiana, Jay Wright, and the Wildcats of Villanova defeated, they ended Forbes' first loss, I think, by 30, and Steve Alford over at UCLA. Steve Alford, of course, before he was at UCLA, coached Iowa. Pay attention to the 12 and 14 Hawkeyes. I mentioned this in Marky's monologue. Fran McCaffrey, or McCaffrey, there's no T in his last name. Some say he's on the warm seat. Iowa's got 5 games left. 2 of the teams they play are nationally ranked. All of the teams have winning records and are ranked high, or have better records than Iowa. So one could conceivably see Iowa dropping all those games. And if they lose then the first round of the Big Ten tournament in Madison Square Garden, that's a 12 and 20 team. Now suddenly you're not, it's not so much, 2 years ago, McCaffrey was the guy who took us to 3 straight NCAA tournaments. Now he's lost his team. Then again, they win those games. There'll be no question McCaffrey will be coming back. Heck, they'll go to a tournament again. So that's the guy to watch. That's the team to watch, in my opinion. Forbes, of course, a native of the Hawkeye State. And already the sports writers there talking about Forbes, voting ETSU in the top 25. So look, that's the team to watch, as well as I said this before, St. Mary's and Gonzaga. St. Mary's, number 11 in the country, taking on number 12 Gonzaga. If St. Mary's falls to the Bulldogs, then the Gales will no longer have the longest winning streak in the country. Right now they've won 18 straight. They haven't lost since last year. They lost to California, was their last loss, St. Mary's, actually. And the California-based school, if they do lose to the Spokane, Washington-based school, well, then it'll be ETSU, assuming they defeat VMI, that will have the longest winning streak in the entire country. It'll be 16 games. They go for 17, the franchise record. Listen to me. They go for the record tomorrow. Or, excuse me, on Monday. On Monday. By the way, I'm sorry. I usually like to have Randy King on, who's a sports writer who covers VMI for the Roanoke.com. And I just think he's a great sports writer. He's been around for a long time. I was very proud of his work that he's done covering sports in that area in Roanoke. It talks about, I remember when VMI beat Virginia Tech in 81, one of those guys. And I just love, hey, I went to Beano Cooks Elementary School, all right? I like guys like that. But here's the deal. He just had a root canal. So he hasn't been able to do what he wanted to do in terms of being able to appear on sports talk shows and the like, unfortunately. And that is our diminishment without having Randy King. Now, by the way, just let you know about VMI, could they possibly pull an upset? They've lost their last 5 games to ETSU. That means Steve Forbes has never lost to VMI. It is the Southern Conference's second longest winning streak, by the way, ETSU's winning streak the last decade. Player to watch probably for VMI this year, and maybe one to watch in the future, freshman guard Bubba Parham. Because he had 16 points in that, what was the final in that game? 89-48 loss of VMI to ETSU last month. But he scored 48 points, and he's got 16 of them. He's got a third of the points. So that'll be the player to key on But also, Bubba Parham, I mean, like I said, if I'm VMI, I'm holding the ball. I don't have the guys, I can't do that, fast pace, put up and shoot like the Citadel tried to. I've got to go defensive style. I've got to milk the shot clock. I've got to put up threes. Freshman guard Bubba Parham, it's on you. So we'll look at that. Of course, last time that ETSU did play Military Academy, they only won, and on the road, they only won by 2, 73-71 against the Citadel. That was the closest, maybe Furman. Some would say Furman. That was a 61-60, so it was the second closest game, and only one of 2 close games in this 15-game winning streak for ETSU. It doesn't figure to be a real close game. I'm going to say that, they haven't put out the point spread as of the morning yet. It's usually done the day of the game in college basketball. At least the sources that I can see. If somebody can tell me otherwise, great. But what I would look at right here is possibly, you could say, okay, looking at the UNCG, I don't think ETSU is looking ahead of anybody. I really don't. And VMI is not the Citadel. Say what you will. Anyway, that is the case. VMI, actually, I've talked about this before, many years ago, back in the 70s, they were actually a nationally ranked program for about 3 years, and that's really the only time that VMI ever had any basketball success, unfortunately, for them. And frankly, although they've had a few scores over the years, if the Southern Conference is to get where I want it to get, and I say that as a 2-bid league, speak as a fan now, VMI's got to do better. And I don't know, they've got to do better. They just can't be the we lose every game program, because that kills the RPI of the Southern Conference. And I've often asked, and it's sadly been like a ho-hum and all this, what can the Southern Conference do to make them more competitive? This sort of thing. And I don't know. The Citadel, they have not given very satisfying answers to that question. The Citadel, I will say, and they've not made the NCAA tournament in their history, but Duggar Bockham, late of Tusculum, actually bolted VMI to go to the Citadel. He had a little bit of success with the Keydets, but not a whole lot. Didn't go to the NCAAs or anything. And he actually thought, the Citadel is a little bit better. The facilities, maybe to spruce up, got to put more money in. I know that they don't like their red shirt people at VMI and all this, but it's one thing to not want to red shirt players. Military academies don't like to do that. It's another to have such bad facilities that if they get good, they transfer to Missouri like Brett Conley did. Tri-City Sports Now, a final thought after this.